Welcome back to Beats of the Heart, Lyrics of the Soul. This is Similes and Metaphors, episode number 6. This episode is going to be like episode number 4. It is going to be about one rapper only, and I will be going over the lyrics in one song of that rapper. It's an amazing song. This rapper has a major cult following. A lot of people don't know about him, a lot do. Those who do know his skills are on a different level. And the thoughts and emotions and everything, the concepts he puts into his songs, like he has a lot of problems with mental issues, depression, stuff like that, and he's OCD, and so he puts a lot of that stuff into his songs. And just the stuff he says sometimes, you know, you can realize that all of us can be a little OCD or a little depressed, or, you know, all of us can have these problems. Let's get to the music. So the song we are going over is called The Search by the artist NF. That's just an N and an F. His real name is Nathan, and he has been making music for a couple of years and has amassed a major cult following. All he does is make music and put it out. When he does put it out, everybody flocks to him. He doesn't believe in marketing his music really, he just believes in putting it out there and letting it flourish. And that's exactly what it does. So if you haven't heard of NF before, I'm here to flourish his music to you and the rest of the world that watches my video. Let's get to it. The song is called The Search. The cinematics in the video of this song are phenomenal, and the video does tell a story on its own behind the song. So first, we get these lines.
Hey Nate, how's life?
This is the artist asking himself that. So is he really asking himself that, or is it his mind talking to him? That's what you got to think about here. And he answers himself by saying,
I don't know. It's all right.
He's talking to himself, but at the same time, when we do talk to ourselves, yes, there's times we do it just to, you know, we don't want to forget something, you know, or, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, you know. But there are other times where inspiration comes through a thought, and we don't understand where that thought comes from, and we see that thought as another voice. The next lines I think we can all relate to.
I've been dealing with some things like every human being and really didn't sleep much last night.
I think we all have nights like this, when we have too much on the mind due to work, stress, kids, relationships, or if we get an inspiring idea that won't stop growing while thinking and trying to fall asleep at the same time. And the next lines give us.
I'm sorry. That's fine. I just think I need a little me time.
So he is talking to his own mind here, and his mind says to him that it is sorry for not allowing him to sleep. And Nate, or NF, says, that's fine. He says he just needs some more me time. But remember, he's talking to his mind. And the next lines.
I just think I need a little free time. A little break from the shows and the bus rides. Yeah.
So here he says he needs a break from all the shows and the touring. He needs some time to explore himself outside of rap. And then we get these lines.
Last year I had a breakdown. Thoughts telling me I'm lost, getting too loud.
When the thoughts or the voices in our head get too loud and seem to have a different opinion than our ego agrees with, it can cause ailments in the thought processes of the said individual. And the next lines.
Had to see a therapist and I found out something funny's going on up in my house.
I love these lines here. How he says, something funny's going on up in my house, which is obviously his mind. Is that a statement most could agree with? Let me know in the comments. And the next lines.
Yeah, started thinking maybe I should move out. You know, pack my car, take a new route.
And remember with these lines, the house he is moving out of is his mind. I believe that is a lot of the imagery we see in the video. Is NF traveling through the vast emptiness of his mind, lost, not knowing where to go, looking for the true Nate that he wants to be. Also, with the faceless characters around that will say things to him, not in the video, but the setting itself, his mind. And the next lines give us.
Clean up my yard, get the noose out, hang up my heart, let it air out.
These lines are very powerful, and also double entendres. We see here now that packing up and moving out, clean up the yard, get the noose out, the yard to his house, that is his mind, would be his body and environment. So ideally, he is prepping to kill himself. The second lines here are an amazing display of wordplay and descriptive wording to show how he feels inside and his emotions in his mind and heart is the first part. But the second part with let it air out. So the suicide would show how he feels to the world by airing his heart out. But also, when the noose cuts off his oxygen, his heart will no longer receive oxygen, hence airing out his heart and his mind through death. Just beautiful lyricism. And the next lines give us.
I've been searching. What does that mean, Nate? I've been learning.
So we see here the conversation between him and his mind continues. And the next lines?
Grabbing my keepsakes, leaving my burdens. Well, I brought a few with me. I'm not perfect.
So here, he's talking about improving himself as he travels through life, keeping the things that mean the most to him that are good, as well as keeping some of the burdens that hold him back. We are all human, and that is how we all improve the person we want to be, through small steps and finding the things that are toxic in our life and cutting them out over time, bringing new people into our lives to put us in a better place. And the next lines.
Looking at the view like this concerns me. Picking up the cues right, I'm quite nervous.
So here, on the road to improving himself, wondering if it is the right road or will he end up back where he doesn't want to be. And the next lines.
Hate it when I lose sight, life gets blurry and things might hurt me. It's probably gonna be a long journey, but
following the last lines of looking at the view, when he says, I hate it when I lose sight here, he is not talking about his eyes. He is referring to his mind. And when this happens, everything in life gets blurry. Then fear sets in, and the mind becomes unstable when scared. Hence, the ego itself becomes scared. And the next lines give us.
it's worth it though. Cold world out there, kids. Grab your coats.
I love these two lines. Here he is reflecting on life, and previous, he says it's going to be a long journey, talking about life. When he says cold world, he is speaking about the cold-hearted, unhuman things that go on every day. So kids, better grab your coats. Cold world out there. And the next lines give us.
Been a minute, I know, now I'm back to Rome. Looking for the antidote to crack the code. Pretty vivid, I admit it, I'm in classic mode.
NF stays out of the spotlight mostly, and then one day he puts out a new song and people go crazy. When he says classic mode, I believe he is referring to the old school way people put out music. Just make it and tell people. No marketing. When he says he is pretty vivid here in people's minds, and when he does put out music, he doesn't have to tell anyone and continues with that formula, even now. And then the next lines.
Don't need pity given to me, but I can't condone. Talking down to me, I'ma have to crack your nose for cracking jokes. I'm looking for the map to hope, you see that?
Even though he has these feelings, he doesn't want people to treat him any different or pity him. And I love this line about cracking jokes and your nose. Speaking on the map here, I believe he is referring to his depression and other mental issues that make him feel a certain way about life. The next lines give us.
Been making a whole lot of changes. Wrote a song about that, you should play it.
He did make a song called Changes, and it is a great song and you should go play it. And the next lines give us.
I get scared when I walk on these stages. I look at the crowd and see so many faces. Yeah, that's when I start to get anxious.
Here, he tries to show us what is going through his mind when he walks on stage to perform.
That's when my thoughts can be dangerous. That's when I put on my makeup and drown in self-hatred.
He is more scared than the crowd to go out there. And when he goes out there and sees the crowd, it makes it even worse. And he starts to get anxious. And then we get.
Forget what I'm saying and where the beat go?
That is when Nate becomes an F. And for some reason, becoming the star he has created brings self-hatred in Nate for needing to become an F to perform. Forget what I'm saying and where'd the beat go? But when he does become an F, it overpowers him and he forgets the thoughts he was having as Nate. The anxiety, stage fright at this point, the beat stops and brings us into the hook, symbolizing him on stage. And when the beat starts, NF starts performing. And then we get.
Oh, ain't that something? Drums came in, you ain't see that coming. Hands on my head, can't tell me.
So here his hands are obviously covering his ears, so he isn't listening. And then we get.
Got a taste of the fame, it upon my stomach. Throw it back up like I don't want it.
NF has trouble with mental issues and being famous. He doesn't like the feeling it gives him. And the next lines give us.
Wipe my face, clean up my vomit. OCD trying to push my buttons. I said don't touch it. Now y'all done it.
These are nice lines. He speaks about his OCD causing issues for him, and then he finishes a line any person suffering from OCD could relate to. And these next lines.
I can be critical, never typical. Intricate with every syllable, I'm a criminal. Intimate but never political, pretty visual.
Great wordplay here, and the way he flows these words so quick and just perfectly placed to keep that melody going within the beat. And the next lines give us.
Even if you hate it, I'll make you feel like you're in it though. You call me what you want, but never call me forgettable. Leave you deep in thought, I can never swim in the kiddie pool.
Through NF's music, he puts much emotion from his life into his music, and you can feel his pain almost to the point of having these issues. Call him anything but forgettable. I found NF 2 years ago, and he is one artist that puts everything into his music, and almost every song is planned and thought out very well, which leads us into the last line with the double entendre of the kiddie pool, and the next lines give us.
Waited, I've been thinking the cinematic is beautiful, man. I don't know if I'm making movies or music videos.
As you can see from the video, it is a very well thought out video with hidden messages and a story that is continued in the next video. NF is very creative and puts everything into his music, as well as the visual display for it. And the next lines give us.
Yeah, the sales can rise, doesn't mean much though when your health declines.
Straightforward lines here, and probably something most rappers need to think about. And then we get,
See, we've all got something that we trapped inside that we try to suffocate, you know, hoping it dies.
we can all probably relate to that with something in our lives we have done that we have never told anyone, hoping if we forget the action, maybe it never happened. And then we get,
Try to hold it underwater, but it always survives, and it comes up out of nowhere like an evil surprise.
these lines are very karmic, depending on what it is that you are suppressing, but regardless if it is actions, unwanted thoughts, if we don't deal with our problems, they will eventually surprise us and affect us and our lives, all because of something that we did or didn't do when we should have. And the next lines give us.
Then it hovers over you to tell you millions of lies. You don't relate to that? Must not be as crazy as I'm.
I think we can all relate to these lines given in some way, maybe not the same way NF has implied them to us, but definitely I think everybody can relate. And the next lines.
The point I'm making is the mind is a powerful place, and what you feed it can affect you in a powerful way. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah, but it's not always safe.
These lines are very powerful, and because we as humans really do nothing but imitate others' actions and learn through others, we tend to have our minds shaped by our environment, and it shapes the thoughts that affect us for the rest of our lives. These lines can relate to any degree of education for the mind to show how powerful influencing thoughts and ideas can be, and how easily the mind can be manipulated to believe anything. And the next lines.
Just hang with me, this'll only take a moment, okay? Just think about it for a second. If you look at your face,
So here NF tries to show us how we can manipulate our own minds into believing thoughts about ourselves that aren't true, but we believe they are true, and they will affect us every day because we have that thought in our mind about ourselves, and it will constantly stop us from being able to correct that. And the next lines give us.
every day when you get up and think you'll never be great, you'll never be great. Not because you're not, but the hate will always find a way to cut you up and murder your faith.
These lines have much meaning behind the wordplay, with the first two lines of someone looking in the mirror and hating on themselves or their appearance, which will lead to depression, social issues, and other mental issues brought on by your own thoughts. But the last line where he says, cut you up, he is referring to self-inflicting pain or wounds on yourself through self-mutilation. And the next lines give us.
Develop and take a look at the benefits. Nothing to meddle with, I can never be delicate.
His wordplay in these lines is great. I love the second line, wordplay, pretty much just saying he is hard and don't mess with him. And then the next lines give us.
My irrelevant, that depends how you measure it. Take a measurement to back it up and give me the
I
evidence.
like these lines. Cool wordplay with the measurement of money and the bag full of money he gets when he releases his music is the evidence, proving that he is relevant. And the next lines.
But it's pretty evident, dependable can never be tentative. I'm a gentleman, depending on if I think you're genuine.
More great wordplay here. I love when NF starts flowing like this and goes all in. And then the next lines give us.
Pretty elegant, but not afraid to tell you to get a grip. Proper etiquette, I keep it to myself when I celebrate.
And again, more lines flowed great, and I love when he throws in those yells at the end of some of his lines with the yeah, and then we get.
It's that time again, better grab your balloons and invite your friend.
I love the imagery in this video with the balloon and the shopping cart. There is a meaning behind that symbolism. These two lines can be considered a double entendre with a birthday party, but the true meaning is we are traveling the same road as NF, trying to find the right path, or the party where all the people who are well are. And then we get these lines.
Seatbelts back on, yeah, strap them in. Look at me, everybody, I'm smiling big. On a road right now that I can't predict.
NF's road to fame has been difficult for him with the issues he deals with, but I am sure it helps sharing his feelings with millions of people. Must be some kind of therapy for him. As well, I'm sure he has a lot of fans that tell him that they feel the same way. And then the next lines give us.
Tell me tone that down, but I can't resist. Y'all know that sound, better raise your fist. The search begins, I'm back, so enjoy the trip.
Some people don't like rap music with true emotions behind it, and have actually been labeled as emo rap. Lots hate on it when, in my eyes, it is some of the realest rap there is out there. Most rappers who will express emotion in their music usually open their life up to their fans in their music. I find it is so much easier to connect with the artist and to love their music in turn when they do this. And those were the last lines from The Search by NF. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Similes, Metaphors, Wordplay, and Lyrics. And make sure to subscribe so you get the next one. Thank you for watching.